Parliamentary Lucius. Na menka se so here constitution ye di juma e okrom ha are famously known as the 1992 constitution. Demonstrations, protestations, remonstrations, and those are legitimate political tools. And I said democratic tools. We are dissatisfied with anything going on within the democratic sector. Ubetimi, I employ to register your displeasure. And the demonstration I've always maintained, say, even if the cause is foolish, because it's democratically, you find the saying, endorsed tools people can employ within a democracy, allow people to demonstrate freely, because that is their constitutional right. More a source from the constitution, and that particular right must never be suppressed. So I was very happy when the IGP cleared them. And who's Attorney General, so the state Babontin said they are free to go. And you come back to what we've been experiencing in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
The president of the day, now President Akufo-Addo, or by year popular in this country, the gentleman who rose to political prominence through demonstration. Demonstration. But surprisingly, under him as the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, we saw how people were assaulted, journalists, individuals. Oliver, you say wakutu police for khaki. Young people of this country were so peeved about the turn of event in terms of galamsey activity. Taking the bull by the horn, decided, oh, this is our country, this is our future. Demonstration. These young people were arrested. They were detained and denied bail. It took another demonstration, a whole lot of public advocacy, and some issue, Ni was part of the people.
That's true.
Oliver and other people were assaulted because they demonstrated. And then Afenyo Markin and Co. had a free ride. And they did a demonstration across the length and breadth of this country, walk all the way to the presidency. And the chief of staff, deputy chief of staff, approached them and even spoke to them. And you click your mind back during the last 8 years.
I see.
Because we lived in a country demonstration by a no-go area. But then the same bunch of individuals who said there is the need to us to do demonstration. Fine, I respect that, and that is it. And again, Afenyo Markin had a brush or an encounter with the police officer. The gentleman in question is not just an ordinary person. He's the minority leader of parliament. According to him, he's a lawyer. And then,
according to him,
he's a lawyer and several other he's a member of parliament and as for he understands as a police initial police uniform that symbolizes the authority of the state.
With the beret.
You don't assault a police officer in a uniform. But in that video, we saw him in the past, not police if one demonstrators and as for by or no as a leader. Only member is assaulting a police officer in the presence of everybody. And then the gentleman quickly ran to TV station and said, the police officer rather assaulted him.
That is so shameful.
And then the video came out vindicating the fact, say he rather assaulted the police officer.
Very shameful.
I'm expecting, say it's good that the police has issued a statement that they want it. But you see, some of these issues, yen to me and jab Brazil outside, because as a lawmaker, you are the law, you know the law, you legislate law. You cannot be engaging in this lawless act to the extent of say, attack a police officer in the uniform. This is something I expect condemnation from across board. What is a Ghana Bar Association issue statement? These are a bunch of lawless individuals. They are there political interest and more fine. Because JB, when this whole Chief Justice issue came up, and GBA I shall say so issue statement. I was so very surprised because over the years, because in the last 8 years, the atrocities are unleashed on the individuals. When you use the court to frustrate people, when President Akufo-Addo first so pack a court, known party people are inserted onto the judiciary. The GBA at the time couldn't find their senses to realize that Neema na papa no identity the credibility of your judiciary. Appointment na air course, there was the need. Abra Chief Justice for Akrata, Chodin, Churchill, and the Namfo Ding, and the former President Kufuor said, "Oh, appoint you to the Supreme Court." No, GBA could not condemn those statements, and there are several other things. Air course, and suddenly, no, if somebody has submitted a petition to the president, and I say, "Oh, go through the same liar," suddenly this bunch of cowards are once again barking like dog in the public space. They want people to, your friends, respect them. What would the kind of backlash or within your friends saying the media space?
Yeah.
That is why I'm telling you, the next generation you can't threaten people with me a lawyer and no, those things don't move nothing. When you speak, the intellect you display. O kasa kwan ya befa so abekasa ne nsem a obeka na manipa wu abrante o a lawyer na nyese lawyer sa keke because a lawyer ne enim lawyer wo jebi wa ponche yira sesia na wo de court a enim lawyer abefre no ana ye fro Supreme Court a enim lawyer abefa na di wachi so lawyers no munyina anya pe. That is what you should know, you understand. But you see the kind of standard I set as a person, I think that is what you need to do as your friend saying as a person. But in this particular situation, you know, the whole thing turning into some kind of a political way. I say and for me that is very shameful. And it's a GBA our legitimate grounds now say hey the because of ABCD you know President Mahama afum way and answer wafum way then we have a cause to worry. But this is a legal institution, an association of lawyers speaking to constitutional issues. They are speaking like Sebi Obi Oye Fundaka na oka law one because Obi Oye Fundaka na on law. But these are lawyers speaking like that. You understand? Because if you are speaking about issues of law, you should be able to premise your argument on law.
Now, before I just want to clarify and emphasize on the African marking issue.
Okay.
At the time, African marking one demonstrated as a member of parliament.
Okay.
He demonstrated as an individual.
Okay.
So he doesn't enjoy any immunity.
Okay.
The police have every right to arrest him rather than inviting him.
No. With the mistake of Moya and say at the spot, you know.
Yes.
They should have arrested him on the spot. But we janu we na dia chiswa or so you cannot arrest him. That is the thing. So that is how ineffective our police is also here to a certain extent. You see, we very often cow them under political intimidation as well. Because like an ordinary person assault to a police officer and immediately now much so why can't we do the same thing? Because we need to strengthen and empower state institutions just to ensure that it doesn't matter who you are, because say are you MP na or this you need to arrest that person and prove to him that he's not above the law. You understand? You don't allow him to go home and chest out, do radio, TV interview. Now, the following day, when you're backlash, I feel the police for back to your statements and I invite him. Who cares about that? I know the day, no. Or China, obviously, I want to know attack a police officer. Because an MP who is supposed to be a lawyer has led the way. And Parliament, so I think that they need to institute certain disciplinary measures within the House. Because you see, your friend saying, as a group, a breedy, a trainee criminals, a safe haven, breedy this kind of people. Because you see, over the years, Parliament say, oh, we are honorable people, but in recent times, the conduct and the behavior of some people within the House, you know, are not only unparliamentary, but this very honorable. That is what I'm saying, is that most of them don't even deserve the prefix honorable. It's very shameful because say obiti Parliament now engaging in some of these things, and you expect the general public to accord you the dignity and the respect you deserve. You are a joker, because when I see you, I will see you for who you are, not because you are MP. We MP until the end. Abraba with the MP but if you get out there and engage yourself in this kind of lawless actor, I know the day, you know, like any ordinary petty criminal out there, we will see you as a petty criminal, not honorable. So Parliament need to take certain decisive measures to ensure that some of these things and they need to make sure that they clamp down on some of these things. Oliver, you say Oliver, social media, your friend is saying Parliament, you have a privileges committee.
Yeah, sure.
Why a deserve privileges committee more than this gentleman?
Saturday appointment committee and a more
exactly by the same Parliament. And I'm saying, sir, Parliament are losing the moral authority and the moral clout to call anybody say you're disrespected, because the House, more or less, is becoming like an avenue of contempt individuals no mugum na brabo mobo no impugn the integrity of people out there. So you should not expect that people respect you for nema any way. And for me, that is the problem. So the speaker, our responsibility on country parliamentarians say teteno na ye de sa nema no hunahuna amamfo na me ye MP makacha said ne Pontius Pilate no mo said that ye no samba biema obi be so ne kon ka kire na bro wodi nkwasasem what asem na make no tell people respect ne ye demand from people. You cannot threaten people and say me MP respect me. And that is why most of these lawyers are also losing their very essence, because in the past, will be a lawyer, people are called them that sense of dignity, but in recent times some come on TV and they speak and the poverty of intellect they live in their wake. You've seen a couple of lawyers who sit on TV na omudia matem na no me hu say obide ya titi akotena TV so lawyer and na all turn ho asoba. And these are people, the GBA will not even find any reason to sanction these people. Say, you belong to a very dignified association. As a member, you cannot misconduct yourself in this manner, and for that particular reason, we are sanctioning you or doing this. You allow all these things to go on. After Asambana go to the other side of the political party, and then all of a sudden the GBA comes in and issue a statement. And the statement is a funny one. It's not premised on anything sensible, because Sanka omutimi chire and say, oh, yeah, GBA, ya komra no ma eda hono, ya who said the president Mahama ye ABC, the wafumra, and for that matter, and the president should ye saying on 10 things around that. Then me ameti hay, never but have a defend say, yes, Asama GBA can not crab because President Mahama fumra, but these are lawyers who are supposed to be in the know so far as the law is concerned.
Know better.
Yes, but they are advertising sheer and raw emotions instead of arguing law. In some of these are emotional sentiments being expressed. Because none of them has been able to come on TV to tell us exactly what the president what be that? No one say emotional campaign, emotional sentiment in as for no mutugum saka Kenyan sabi an association of 5,000 members. Now we know about 52 kwasha dem be no mo pass resolution. One kasa organization we a serious organization. But there is no serious organization about free members up to 5,000. 52 never show up. A just organization and kasa no people no no what lose clout. What lose essence, because it is not an association of lawyers, a political movement that some people use for a certain parochial interest. And for me, that is what they are.
That shouldn't be so. They contribute to the society.
No, they are supposed to contribute to society. Listen, you know, if you go to other jurisdictions, do you know what people study law to advance the cause of society?
Yes.
In recent time, many of the politicians who are lawyers in our political space, you know what they do? Sometimes you listen to argument on TV and you yourself become more confused than the very people speaking. You understand? But you see, because they are not arguing wisdom, they are not arguing fact, they are not arguing law or evidence, they are arguing emotions based on where you stand across the political divide. And the NDC near MPP near and the direction of the law. We are not arguing in near mass and Nipabete. And for me, some of these things Emma Manfo lose so respect in this country. So the GBA must realize that there is a sharp decline in terms of respect people have for them. And they need to do everything to bring their members apart. We need to become relevant in the eyes of the people. And can some nobody will question them if they've been able to premise their argument on something substantial, argument grounded in law. But and you're speaking raw out of emotions. There is nothing substantial, nothing sensible to be attributed to in Sabna. What do you expect me to do? And for me, that is the worry. So back to the MPP and the Chief Justice. You see, my culture says MPP is a sinking enterprise. It's a party that is diving into the sea. They have no relevance. They've lost their mojo, everything. So now, no. That's exactly what they are doing. They are on a foolish course. And anything but this
is a democratic right.
And that is why Mr. argument. But you see, the question is, you are not demonstrating in the eyes of your friends saying some bunch of ignorant people, and let people are very much enlightened. Oh, demonstration. They want to know. I didn't will demonstrate it, and these are your facts. The fact is somebody has submitted a petition to the president has followed through, submitted same to Council of State has reviewed the petition, and the conclusion is next step of the process has to be activated, and that is exactly what the president has done. Somebody wake up and says the president did not breach constitutional procedures. The question is which procedure and what breach? Consider me. Then we rectify it. You are unable to single out a single breacher. Do you think people will take you serious?
I see.
Nobody will take you serious. So you see, politics, you've gotten to a point. I think emotions are taking the larger part of the political discourse. Your politicking in this country, the major part of it has to do with emotions. And emotions, so in this space, our the intellectual table. Whenever you go to the intellectual table with emotions, you only expose yourself and tell people how gullible and weak-minded you are. Because at that table, there is no room for your friends emotions. Yeah. The question is fact now what they but to substantiate your argument. I need the and Mraba president a good for demonstration now. What are the basis? And they always say, oh, John Mahama say oba. Your friends say obey changes our the judiciary and then now OE chief that's in the first place. Nipo mo lose my appointment under John Mahama. Unim mododo. Oko konfanatia na no
professor
okofie oko tamala okofie the Ghana your friend say statistician na nkasa o had okofie. So why are they not demonstrating? Are they not Ghanaians? Why do they have particular interest in the Chief Justice? So it will go to affirm the fact that under Akufo-Addo there was a deliberate attempt to pack the court. In any case they exit power, they will be protected, and that's exactly why the MPP has taken this first entrenched position fixate on the Chief Justice alone, because there have been a number of people victims under John Mahama. Right. Why are you not speaking for these people? Why the focus is always on the Chief Justice? It affirms the fact that indeed you have a particular interest. And Debbie, the call to reset the judiciary, that call John Mahama they say resonating with the larger section of Ghanaians peeved about the sinking image of our judiciary. For me, that is the foundational institution of our democracy. We can lose the judiciary, we can lose the executive and parliament. Yeah. But one entity, very sacred, we cannot afford to do politics with it, is the judiciary. Right. And that is why Ghana are calling and say we need to sanitize this house just to make sure that it works for the people.
Very well. Mesa ba ho do bi na ya to common so Lucius so be add some few input, but answer na no ba men kan for Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital Emfa Emao. Dr. Sheikh Abibo so o say nyakopon kwa ene ya resafo enti yare bia ye obia no bomodi aso beko Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital or your experts stroke fertility and chronic diseases yare bia ye crown bia ha obia no o de kwada so ya obetumi aboa na ene je se me se o hokofa machine won so bia ba eno na di tete o yare no na wapɛ ho aduro eso e di ama to be so bomodi aso be Russia ko ne the branch e won cry e wo dome I be slit flat down to the railway sort of more saso na lashebi or saso e wo hodomo a shaman under bridge ho and also branches are who be Kumasi, Takrade, Nkoko, Temale, Borga, Hoy, Bebieni, Enchi, Kwanta, and that's for me brina. To be so called Dr. Sheikh Abibos, one of Nonya Daje, Enfa, Bibidro, Enfa, Enka, Alternative Medical Hospital. Now on to me, Esho Yepa. The number is 0245 27 5254. 0245 27 5254 at 0207 229505 0207 229505. Now let's shake Dr. Abibosu any Mkomo. Now, so yembra back into our discussion. There are two important issues I'm discussing. The monetization the confirmation of the MMDCs is becoming very worrying. NDC and Aba Power, John Dramani Mahama, president, were appointed to be so question and the district of Womb. Now NDC ni kwa endorse na just or 5,000, or 6,000, binumoje 3,000, binumoje 1, all in the name of assembly members near there. Yes, before they were paying just because almost say the interior moka almost no. Now there is a government who is going to pay all the assembly members, yet the monetization is becoming even worse off. How do we curb that very particular issue? And number two, you share the Declaration of Assets, ENRA, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the Code of Conduct book, and all his appointees, ensuring that they will all declare their assets. What I want to be any day, you consider yourself to be sacked automatically. Say how do we ensure an effectiveness of that particular course? Lucius, but Mr. Timfriho, maybe a person different.
Okay, you that's it. I'm fine free endorsement, no?
Yeah.
MMDC endorsement, no? So, we say, sir, MMDC endorsement, no? And can you consent Kaskasen be album? The entire American say yes, oh yeah, assembly member, or pay development, or electoral area. Now say MC in ho, and I say DC in ho, and Pempino meetings call a bedding, even though a presiding member, any a day, every meeting. Now, mum say, or free meeting, I say DC in ho, and I say MC in ho. The Hobart discuss Biano, a bear qua. Ye were district bebre or honoma, bear puntu akachi because of MMDC who send
Yeah.
A beer honoma, bebe for endorsement, no, bebe quacoto, na bantua mano. Enti, ne se besania day, a schedule, you know, date, you know. Now, okay, adia bakwa hadwin a yes kasem
yeah.
And intia ebimons wo adwin say send ya be ya sas kasem be free honum no. When say obekaya even both NPP and NDC na no sa ayiwe no ya ka ho asem pen say DC no say ye open up.
Sure.
Nanka
yento
beso abati say ne to MPC so aba no.
Yeah.
Nka enu mom no ebeyi sa monetization no afri honum because the whole district and as a municipal no ekoto so aba ebe de mpasse obetimi raise sika na wakotua dia ma obi a say onto aba ma. In actual fact sometimes enkrofo abi o ha be kope MC and as a DC no sorry to say ebi mo honum a finances no eni soro sa e wo fam. What you say? Enti say obi ye memfa say be a teacher ni or a nurse and I say be or any business kakra bi nanne oba bepe DC no aka say o metua sika ansana what aba mana ebedin so obetimi anya sales kan but I think say ade ba ko a ama political parties no entimu committee to sa you know idea no say sia obe open up na o ka say obi abetimi a contest ya say koba ne say NPP NDC ni wa ban sisi na say NPP ni ekofa form na o contest na say Owenia eno so mpuntu duma ebeden obet sabotage government district hall.
And we can have cases like in the Volta region and Ashanti region.
Yes,
because Oko Volta region are heavily dominated by the NDC. Oko Ashanti region are heavily dominated by the NPP.
Yeah.
So obviously say NDC so now Kofa obi to say mayor ewo Kumasi now see into the swaba obviously NPP for be dominating at NDC.
Yeah.
And it's the same case in the Volta region.
Inti say Koba ne say bema mpuntu duma so ayeden.
Yeah.
Wahu. And inti asade no entimu nyeden entimu emba so no. Be me no mom no ma de sele dey amestre say assembly members no mom say betimi hwe sa na ema no yie. Because ukofa government and as a president nominate will be at the number. Na say we say oba be gisika ansana watu aba dia mana. Kai hu say sa nipa we say no. Once I don't so an adwin say ope MC adi ne de kwan ya obefa so a obenya sa o 4,000 say 2,000 no edi ama no obefa so no de odi ama eno no achi no ba bia scan free bia no say ekọ
weteneka
say scan no san ko back kwan ba ne obefa so akọ back ene ne ye sa sika bi na ayi week bia MC le homa me bia 40,000 Adanya all the weekends me kwa yi. Weekends me kwa weddings. A man for best ram ofie. So what attitude sense? So MC and I said DC or district one. We have district people who just what you say development and kasa were from a newly created area district kura. Obekọ assembly hall no bibia enche dani ho enso na MC di bia ha 50,000 kofie every week or the 30,000 ekofie every week wa brako ankasa sika no bebetimi ache no e de aye enema bi wo district hall no enti mesre se na be ya abenso bebetimi hold the MCs no na say DCs no accountable na transparency e be ya adwuma no ben modern say benso no bebetimi aye clean in their dealings with MCs no say na be ya ochina bi no onko e say go say wo abaji ska free nipa no ho waje 4,000 na say 2,000 free nipa no wato abama na say ochina bi obeto na say wodi nsem hu a wo kan ho asem enye yi because in the first place no one kasa we corrupt what you say me edo na free hon na me de aba code of conduct no
yes
and no president mama eye clear e wo ne niema bi ho enti obia ahu minua ye nyina corruption ya ka ho asema bia ya eden ya dre enne ya nya president a oye committed na waka say enough is enough nye Ghana for MP eye kro no aban bia atwamu kọ no saa niema na chese ekukọ from ayi president no so ekosi the last ayi appointee no. Now, constitution na yedi ebu man no. Constitution no chese say we are eligible appointee and I say ya appoint you say bra na be di dwuma ewo man no mu a. Say utimi ya den declare or asset any liabilities. What you say? I think say article 286 you know.
Yeah.
Say u declare or asset. Now, say we be declare che enkrofo a say be declare the president, vice president, speaker of parliament, members of parliament, any chief justice, as any ministers, as a declare. So, Abanya, welcome ya, MPP Abanya. There was a timer for estate for actually the command or the service say, but perceive and government appointees are but declare asset, Ghana High Sea. Emma Ben so bad. About 350 pages, 2 booklets of Nkrofo abe declare be asset at the brebe. Now, when we remove every say out of the appointees and another appointee ni nyinano, emu 19 pe na ba declare be asset.
I see.
19. Wabrakwan even the vice president impo. As at that time no, now we declare ni asset twice. But say o share asset declaration na HSS ya appoint wa breko be appoint you na say we declare say term no ko ender say we declare ni wo hwe the time na fourth estate for enya document na that time that was somewhere 2022 honum what you say entina ya to about the NPP for the first time na ba asen about the second time tinka anya hwe kra no enka appointees no say enka ba declare be 3 times. But vice president Nankasa Muamu no wa declare twice. Meaning a time na eba beko end no bet term no ba beko end no won declare. Or say chairman Sabonsu no a majority leader. No one soon declare. Finance minister no one soon declare. What you say? Enti sa niema we mu nyina kan ho bin ma the other appointees no hu say o. Kwan dam ye betimi aye de ye pe. Emma ebi mutimi kwototo fie wa abreko a chese efia nipa no tokura mpo won hweda hu ade crop pot ya ode yen so otimi kwagina ni nam to fie be 27
so niska wo ska na ka beto ne
good nanka se nipa no sa asset declaration no say ye de check oniema bi oti ase ansa na obeba aban mu no se we declare asset even though the audit service no is not supposed to make it open. And you can say Obia who say, oh, Bano, Navy, our car, oh, fear we will say. Now, never now be declared no, what I say, or Chinabi said, because here to send down free our quarter of year 27 is no, and Cafe Baby say, Ansana or Bebano, no fear Ben and now. what you say na ultimi wo e bia fie be 20 krampo ne ultimi to fie 27 na nke reasonable what you say but e bia me kan fie ba ko pe bi no wo but ene no ultimi nya sika koto be 27 obi tin ko han fie ayi 12 years advance no wa twiaka what you say ayi your friend is saying Xmas tree airport na obi Christmas tree keke na etimi cost o man about 128,000 Ghana cedis. What you say den tree nko ane odi DS masa etimi cost about 128,000. Wahu enti ene no President Mama ka say even hampers mo na asefo ru bia no and the team no and you all can cry and say one anyone can say ebro 20,000 Ghana cedis. Ebo bia nso enyusu government fund and na say internally generated fund.
So on the kwai on the kwa hampers
me the gift you obi and na say dabi because ane ma no ekoso oh we de yenya na ye de kobo nipa we abaso ye de koma nipa sumasi na ba atena na ba hehye te say na Christmas tree about 28,000 Ghana cedis den tree nko a na dasani bosome nko ba yawo a ene wanyini akọ school na ye de akọ adwuma no all me de saska ente say akoye Christmas tree ye nyina ye nim say sansem no na enye nokre but kwan a amanfo fa so edi wia oman no what you say nti no President Mama ka say obi kra be gift o na say ebro 20,000 Ghana cedis sa gift na say sika no your mind de declare mo obi ahu say company na say institution na oda no ade bia sumasi ne I think say enra me who say ye the cars bi mu be chair president and also what declare enti say ebro 20,000 Ghana cedis nko ade a enya wo de
even for instance, Hamidia General, to say be a Lucius Sabahano say na no maybe 1,000 or 2,000. It's a my HR and paying for you. Watch a miska. And see, and you say influence good me thoughts in me.
Wow, say,
you watch that miska, because I could declare.
Martin, that's how Messi Musafi did not.
Oh, yeah, that was me. I mean, I want it to know. I say me more declare. You see, and so the bear and conflicts with your Jumana warrior.
Yeah.
Aha, Lucius and Madame for Wama Miska. Na BBS, na Lucius, say, make was a man, because of his Canada mobility. That's why I mean, Kawasa. No, but all the mammies so I say, me Marco for who say, all discussing at their mammy.
Yeah.
HR, whom me managers say, Umuhu, Nafi. Me declare to me case bia when you fa and now say before from you honor so even as I mean as private institution here now how much more government official
sure and I think say NC wha me President Mama can say or share 31st March say obia fan declare any asset say 31st March no or no ne source HN say enipa bi mo anasa appointees inu bi mo enya declare eninti ade na edikan a obeye say wa ma be another timeline which is Wednesday Wednesday you know say un declare o asset eno no crampo no che say ba be appointee be before 31st March no say un be declare ya wa di kan ka say appointees no bia emfa ne 1 month pay enko ayi mama ke no enti ba be no so bantimi and declare be asset before the 31st March nanso ya appointee be before 31st March no ben so be forfeit 3 months enti ba bosumi akatua no miensa be forfeit enya de a aban no e de be ma be e be ko mama ke enti e kire won say one wadi kan kasa appointees no bia de 1 month pay ekohonom ni true wasan so abrichi enti sa what the emu 3 ebe de international so betua 4 what you say 4 months pay me ebe de ebe ko mama ke and I think say president here Bonabaso was a commitment we are why because ankane na enka enko babia because sometimes we say president na nkasa dey na oye enti se president no ye bi a eno nso ma ayi ofren say other appointees no akwanya se o yansi yetimi yeden yetimi eyebi enti ne se yaba benya president a all ka se dabi say obia etimi kire niema a owo ansa na oba aban mu ne obeduru aban mu nso no se term no ya akọ enda o term of office no ya akọ enda say otimi kire niema owo a say team bonabaso because enya new thing yenya yenim say constitution no sa ne constitution no kire nanso na enya ade a yetimi eden yetimi ebiso ema ne yi.
But I say Lucius is a member of the NDC communication team, but let me say a very good morning to Miaminia, the editor and the Punch newspaper. Foster, I see. Good morning to you. After your marking at the release Bidiaba calling on the IGP to investigate near a course. So I say petition for investigation and disciplinary action against constable forcing. For assault at Parliament House during the Save the Judiciary demonstration. So, God refer to Sunobia and Kyei na miwia maba Ivan Hodomunafe Ivan Edenidia, but say I hereby formally petition your office to investigate and take appropriate disciplinary action against constable forcing a tall, fair, and heavily built officer who was stationed at the entrance of the Parliament House to provide security during today's Save the Judiciary demonstration. Constable forcing assaulted me at the entrance of the Parliament House during the demonstration. So this is Afiyomaki Eka said. To address this incident and correct misleading narrative circulating in the public domain, I have issued a public statement detailing the events as it occurred. I rely on the said statement, which is hereby attached for the information and further action, counting on your cooperation. Yours faithfully, Osayene Alexander Kwabna Afenyo Market. It's the order, and I send you kukudro let's say the command the IGP say or investigating now on taking disciplinary action against constable forcing how you heavily built or assaulting during the Save the Judiciary demonstration. Anyway, so Ivan, back to you now. My name is Ebi Abet tackle this issue, and I say you call the monetization in the endorsement of the MMDCs and declaration of assets. Any of them? I
think this thing should be disregarded with a contempt it deserves. And you see, the caliber of people. A letter now to Afenyo Market letter. The caliber of people we are talking about. This is a video that is circulating.
Yeah.
A man for more di one dance here. What happens? It's not just about a video because every video need to be captured. They see but there were people there, journalists and as a phone will be why now Babon because a police officer indeed attacked this gentleman. All of a sudden, he's painting the narrative. Nipa na or not a victim no or try to make him your friend saying so this is
a video. But you can still
and if nothing at all. And MP, you have no right. So the one say police officer or uniform. You have no right. So we know that's a different thing. And the same person turns around and then trust statement about one thing say the police officer should rather be investigated. It's just a ploy just to sway the whole conversation because the focus will rather be on the gentleman, not on him. Yeah. And I'm sure the Ghana Police Service, or more munim, their integrity is on the line. So I'm back to now. I'm a man for attack or more. Oh, who for the muyebi? Because after this incident, police for no more holding in. They should even be sanctioned. Why they did not arrest him?
All police, not police for the so patch.
Yes.
Not police for more patch. They pay a boom for.
Sir, that tells you how weak our institutions are, because in other jurisdictions you cannot stretch your hand and poke a police officer even in the face let alone say what they will say born, and then the officers there will be saying honorable.
And
today he's flipping the narrative, and that is who they are.
Maybe so, he has a superior evidence.
Oh, what superior evidence? And I'm telling you, sir, the reason why young people today don't respect people working with honorable, these are some of the things. Dishonorable character, they lack candor, they lack integrity, and these are dishonest bunch of individuals. Yeah, Claudio with political power, and they think they are sitting on the moon. And I think the coming days in the way, with the monetization, I'm not sure anybody is surprised. Because my culture that I say, the entire political landscape, has been monetized.
No, but is it not worrying?
It's a creeping culture.
Yes.
I am Godfrey.
John Dramani Mahama, who is the president, duly elected, Akwakoyi Nanemisini, say Munkwatunu Swaba, now government appointees, any assembly members are more endorsed on number sounds right.
No.
5,000, 4,000, 3,000 each.
No, you should understand it's a culture you created that. So people think say it's a normal thing. When you create such a sick culture and nobody act on them, we normalize it. In recent time, you know how monetization has taken the center stage of our politics. And I've told you, sir, because of that, I give you a lot of idiots take it to enter into the political space because they have money. They speak and you become warriors. Now when you see free or politics, who make decisions, but because they have money. Because we don't vet people where they got their money from. So the monetization, cripple that culture, and access and some of these things are normal. So for you shouldn't be surprised. It's a normal thing. So we call your parliament as for within political party. But we have political structure the most corrupt group of people who are your political party delegate. How does that free? Your political structure is a corrupt group of people who are a political party delegate, because that is why the whole corruption started from.
Are equally guilty?
That is why I'm telling you.
Delegates
no. And they too, if you don't give it to them, they will not vote for you. So JB, that is the culture that has been created. And in Nippon be free constituency or by MP take it. Na ka wabogu hono. Enya kaketwa. And again, waba by MP na wako constituency. Me say on the weekend we MP. Would you want to fundaka hold abetono because obi obebia mebusu anie wo baji sika free ho obi ko wedding obi ko adore. So we've created the whole thing to look like say it's a money venture nipa no kwa e sika puduo na ye odam enti bra na baji sika. And I don't say in such a way, say people who rise to political prominence, because they don't serve people. No, if I don't take my pound of flesh at this time, no. What are some Americans? Yeah. And they will do everything because, for instance, this year, if we're not doing say, someone and taking a pound of flesh and now, or we are offering no crown fat. You see that kind of way, no? So that is the culture, and you don't blame the people no more general. You don't blame the HE, you blame the system that we have created.
Ivan, the most unfortunate aspect in this say a DC can be sacked tomorrow. So you go and pay like what call mobilize about 100 or 200 or 300,000 or 400,000. Now they are called assembly members. No matter swaba. That's if you are in the news and in your news neighbor and as a president at his own discretion, he can just sack you. No,
you live. If you understand politics, they live by the moment. So they live by the moment. You understand? So you do everything to secure your position.
But I mean, about more than 500,000 or 600,000 citizens. They are talking say, may they call election or may they come here to me swab or something like that.
No,
I mean sometimes some of these things.
No, you don't blame. And I say you don't blame them. There is a culture, a sick culture we have created. Say, you may have all the brain in the world, all the intelligence, all the ideas. If you don't have money, you cannot survive on the political arena. And that is why the state must do everything to ensure that we crack down on some of these things. Are you saying that within the assembly, people know that they are not paying money?
Yeah, they know.
So who is acting on them?
And Medina, they losing bonus. Was some part of Eastern region. Mire few other constituencies. No mutual losing bonus. Oko other part of the regions or more endorse or more MMDCs now. Most of them, and even some of them even came out to say, first one they no musu so to say 5,000, and the Kokoba say or more assembly members in the region say no. Oko be a few Koko did this scandal. Yes, somebody did you know. Says scandal na besandia mamunti. Mufaba me. The moment unfortunately, that person's name wasn't mentioned. And when we continue like this, the system will not be well taken care of. About the Sanana, politics now be a very romantic or lucrative venture for everybody to just step in, just all in the name of money. Innocent.
Yeah, so and I who say politics in any partner, my culture say human beings, if you don't create framework, are about regulating the way they act. Every human being who have potential to collect to their destructive best. We are very dangerous people. Human being was not created to be good. We were created to learn to be good. Naturally, we were all born bad. You understand? So you need to create systems and institutions to regulate human behavior. So once me and yes, as a state, I don't expect man say on his own he will do the right thing, because there are those you need to learn to be good, but to be bad there you don't learn it. That is why we say untrained criminals. We train people to be good. So until such system number say as I'm making sure say we fuck crime this way to Sanyama we say and some we are okay. Who doesn't know? Obianim. So this is what goes on within our system. Political party, answer we by political party, events a candidate for a political party. Now cannon as for our board and now the so another day, people are more what they take. The skills, the intellectual know-how to be able to help to navigate through this stormy circumstances, you know, because they don't have cash, they will sit back and watch people who have money to go in and destroy the estate for us. And that's exactly what we've been witnessing in recent times. Party chairman, constituency chairman, wine chairman. See the caliber of people coming up.
Yeah.
And some of these idiots very soon, because they have money, they will tell you say they want to be president. Because they have cash. So there is no room for intellectualism, that kind of merit. Nipano, the ability to do. The space, you know, has been hijacked by these high-stake bidders. They have money and they can do everything. NSA use and system to deflate this and tell people say governance leadership is never about money. It is about people who have the ideas, people with vision. Driver. Because if you go out there and sell that particular thing to Obia, for instance, me pay MP, me or constituency. Now, but Jimmy Sikana me took me the mawi and me kowi. Can you come to me and say something baby mao? Because I can't amabono. Some of them are owning the banks. Some of them are owning the banks, huge sums of money. Some have taken money from loan sharks and they are paying. They have to pay. Obi have sponsor any contract be a family. That's what they do. You understand? So some of these things, you know, explain how ineffective the whole system has become. Now, Chroma it me a after 1 year na kwana say what be say ho de ntia because nipa na oye kwan no kata ya gige free sika na ka na kakra bi. So you see niema ya kan nyina are just symptoms. O dwell on that you make a mistake. A systemic way be I engulf your system. Say corruption is endemic and is pervasive. What are some of the approach you may go after some of these things to ensure say we distill corruption, even if we cannot defeat it, we reduce it to a barest minimum and to me affect the focus of this nation. And that is what we need to do. And yes, sir, the can just portions of it. DC, corruption going on everywhere. Our parliament during the approval. Debe na nkoso okroma say nya no mo frɛ Oliver Ohono. And over the years we've been hearing this or say chairman Sabeka say somebody called him to bribe the side and for you understand?
Yeah, sure.
As somebody want to investigate here. Even parliament that accusation came up till date nobody investigated. You understand? So for me a culture creative and we seem comfortable with it and it explains why the state is sinking. We really need to be very ready and say enough of this creeping culture. I ain't go for your political winner. I say no. I put you away the intellectuals away because no decent-minded individual me constituency me compare MP. Na ma betua sika ma menye. I won't give you one city
because Sikana betua ntia
me work crab into your because me we are me ba serve. If I'm coming to serve you, what should I pay? You understand? And that is the culture that we need to institute. For instance, if you go out there, Ghana has if people want to go into the army, for instance, look at some of the bribes people pay. But in America and other places, if you sign up, they give you bonus for signing because it's a risk adventure in Awoko Siki. You can lose your life, you can lose your leg. What I say. But why should a young man in Ghana dedicating who say I want to be in the army should go and pay bribe? What about them? Police officer or police who so bribe or we are going bank and I'm robber bar on the first target obekuno. Or the brilliant van nimni a man to Gold Coast to a nation in the nine so I'm robber bar, I'm robber nukra, pistol or chair wakuno. This is a risk these people are taking and you are telling them say or no make bribe and sign off on a police officer. Oh more damn. These are things we've normalized in this country, you understand? People who sign for police would rather be given bonus. So because of our core army, we should give them bonus, not bribe from them. But the culture we've created, no, normal. Everybody is aware. The political class, everybody is privy to this sick culture. I ain't go for your political way, no, but we seem normal. So for me, this whole monetization thing, no, we need a conscious, deliberate effort. You bet the framework, you bet me, I do away with all these things, but all facets of society, or be called police agent bribe, or call soldier agent bribe, or call customer agent bribe, nursing agent bribe,
nursing training and police.
And if you go to some of the universities, some of the programs they do, or Nim said they are taking 20 people, they will sell form to 2,000 people and take their money. And who are buying your way? I don't know that way. If you go to some of the universities, they know say they have your fancy space for 200 students. They will sell form to over 2,000 people, shortlist about 1,005 for interview and take money from them. At the end of the day, you know, near for 200. And if the state institutions are robbing the people, how much more ordinary person? So system institution are setting up. And Robbie a man for a chrono enterprise and I setting a they are benefiting or no be an they are benefiting no casa. And that is the sick culture that we need to deflate. With this asset declaration
in the next I think 1 minute.
With this, for me, I think that the kind of impact as you frame no, and for me it's even becoming unnecessary because Nipa no be declared a shame from the so nobody is verifying as for them. We need some pragmatic approach. Say Nipa no the bar. We need independent way. They will go and verify and know say because obi betimi akobobo send the cotton account.
Yeah, sure.
Obi betimi akojo obi dan papers no was sign yan dey odua sika bia. People can do all these things because in the name say me ba me oni. So exactly.
Obi si dan obi we what transact obi we.
Yes, and I make say criminals, first, and the criminals are very intelligent people, very sophisticated in mind. It's a very sophisticated enterprise. Who you fool, you not survive. So some of these people can maneuver their way.
Right.
The state need to institute measures to be able to verify and check all these things to know say indeed. Nipa ne nsam na o kana na kra na nya sana ja church or never go papers so the other one intimi church or never go papers.
Lucius, 30 seconds now.
Okay, near na Ivan Kyei wa hu. Se option ya Judicial Assembly concept na. Judicial Assembly concept no.
Why you remember that? Why you be that?
That be but option say na yes structure na. Nke come pa o. Nke come pa because here say offer assembly concept na wa hu. Over the local level no kra mpo na assembly members any unit committee for enka enye partisan. Enti ho mom ni ade no yese nke start free wahu na mom de tie say ade na ye ka say enye partisan no say ekoduru say ye be ye assembly elections a political parties nso ebe kwa akoye den sponsor
that is very
watch as enti no from the word go no the oil unit committee member and as assembly member ewo electoral area honum no or no eye ayi politician. What you say? Now, the end who was Sikatria we muno, say Ekobani say, oh, district be now Ebia dominated by who party a woman fancy NDC was CCA. Now, Bako district be no assembly members have a honum, Dudwana ye may fancy MPP for a child say, Sababa Sababa endorse ya Baba Tuatia. What you say? And you also won't pay no santino. You are compelled to also pay. Nanka nyasa, nanka at the local level no unit committee for no be neutral. Assembly members neutral. Nanka yedi echo the top hierarchy no which is the MMDCs no so. Enka be kotwa ba enka nya dia sa sika twa we mu anase sika gige we mu nyina be dey ebebam. Now assembly members no do na no say obekọ local level no or no so kra the unit committee for nka. As to when obekọ meeting what is being discussed at the meeting no bia no. Beba na they don't account for anything. Say be a call a can say analysis that be nyasade no what you say enti me say no de and who be Samuel a bit me can say and ye assembly concept no e good pa ade ba ko pe momni say ye hwe na yi firim say ekodru assembly elections na and kayen politicians no betwe ye ho what you say na nipa no enko as a neutral person say obetimi a serve ni electoral area say be access no na be hu say or that potentials na say credibility no so betimi serve na se betoma na
all right
enu mo mbeboa assembly no sense e bia e be